Well, hello, my dear friends. It's Fintan and Steve again. We did a video yesterday. It didn't seem to want to download, so we're going to try this one, and this one will download, and we're intending for the next one to download, and then we'll go from there. But that's okay. Um, at the end of the conversation in the last one that we did, we started talking a little bit about fasting and how that has been part of our lives and how it's helped us in certain ways, shapes, or form. Just coincidentally, Fintan and I both have gone down the fasting route, and we just like to kind of express what it is that it did help us with, and how we came across it, why we did it, and all of those sort of things. So, what got you first looking toward fasting, Fintan?
So I became aware of my body. And in that awareness, things started to come up, and like fasting. And in the awareness of my body, I started listening to my body instead of just listening to other people talking or what's in the media or what would even come to me in my dream states. So my body just said, hey, fasting. And I listened. So I started fasting. I just started.
Wow, that was all an internal revelation, was it?
Yes, yeah, I'm very, very pleased that my body has been very patient with me for these 51 years. And now I'm starting to listen to it. And it's a great conversation.
Oh, for sure. Now, for me, my first introduction to the idea of fasting came in Christianity, where like Jesus they talked about Jesus fasting for 30 days and 30 nights or what have you. And many people in there fasted for certain amounts of time for spiritual reasons mostly. They would talk about the physical benefits of doing so. But for me, at least at the time, it just seemed like that's what you're supposed to do if you're Christian. And I tried it, and I didn't tell anybody, but I failed miserably. But didn't happen for me at all. I just kind of kept my mouth shut about it. But it was the introduction to the thought process for me as far as fasting is concerned. Fast forward greatly. I had a very hard working job, physical job. I was a garbage man for several years, 10 years. Never thought about diet, ate whatever I wanted, and obviously drank a lot of beer and all that kind of stuff like that. Kept my weight down, stayed relatively down during that time, though I always had a belly. And people used to laugh at that. And I would laugh with them, generally speaking. So eventually, as I got older, though, um, I stopped doing that job. I started doing a more sedative job where I was a coach driver, and the diet stayed the same, and the pounds just kind of going on.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I was a coach driver here, then I went up north, and it was really bothering me that I was feeling kind of sick and old, much older than I thought it would be. And one day I just decided I think I hit 290 pounds. I'm now 200, and I've actually gained a little back again, but anyways, doesn't matter. Uh, so I said, I have to do something. So I just started doing what I knew. And that was having like small little meals and going to the gym and doing all this kind of stuff like that. Anyways, that started my experimentation towards diet and its effect on our system and body and so on and so forth like that. I
Hmm.
started working out and I lost about 30 pounds really quick doing that. Then what they call in the workout thing is that I plateaued.
Mm.
I couldn't go below this 230. Well, my wife is a nurse. And she started seeing me getting healthy or losing weight and stuff, and she started looking towards it. And the great thing about my wife and I's relationship is I'm generally the starter of something. She is the one that looks into it and starts researching and finding maybe the right way of doing it, where I'll just do it and without any thought process towards it. So it kind of works really well together. Anyways, she started coming up with the ketogenic diet. And in the ketogenic diet, what happens is you start eating fats and meats on a certain level, but high fats, and removing sugar from your diet. That's the big thing. Glucose from your diet. In which case, you stop having refined sugars. So it took me a while to go with it, but eventually I did. And the great thing about that was, one thing I learned from that with diet in this is the addiction that I had to refined sugars. It saw the contrast. What it did is it stopped the addiction. My body started running on fats instead of glucose, and I no longer had a problem. This is why I'm telling you this, is going into fasting, because I wasn't hungry anymore.
Excellent.
Yes. So if you're looking at diets and stuff like that, I mean, how does diet help us? So many ways, and certainly spiritually. When we feel physically healthy, it's much more, I find it's much more, I find myself much more able to experience spirituality, joy, and all of those things like that. So I'll stop there. And go back to you on okay, where did you have a plan when you started fasting, or did you like say I'm going to do a short amount of time and increase, or how did you go about it?
So, given that this is going to be public information, and also that I'm very good about being truthful, I'm going to reveal that I basically just went for it. I just said, okay, you are now going to eat every 12 hours and not in between. So I drank water. That was the one thing that kind of made sense. And then I went to, let's say, 18 hours. And then after about a week of that, I went to 24 hours. And then I just stuck with the one meal a day. So I would eat, when I say 24 hours, I would probably eat, within a 2 to 3 hour window. And I became very conscious. I had already generally eaten healthy, but I became very, very aware of all the tastes as I started to restrict the timing and restrict the items. And I just went from there. After 2 to 3 months of doing it, once a day, then I went to 36 hours. Then I went to 48 hours, and I once went more than 3 days, and that was interesting. So yeah, I just started doing it, and then my wife said, "Have you researched this, and are you reading books about this?" And I said, "No." So then she recommended a book. I read the book, and I realized, hey, I'm already doing it. So it was a great experience, and fortunately, I did it correctly.
Yeah, it's funny how spirit can talk to you that way, talk to people that way. There's a lot of synergies in that. You don't remember who wrote the book, do you?
I don't know. I'll ask her. She just came downstairs, and she might remember. Although I also have learned that if I involve her in video conversations, especially ones that are being recorded, she generally prefers a little advance notice. So on our next video, I will endeavor to have that answer.
We can also put it in the comment section down at the bottom too.
Yes.
We can also put that down in the comment section as well. That's not a problem. I have a few people that people might want to be interested in. Dr.Berg, he is like the aficionado of their keto diet. Cole Robertson, he's a little harsh. He likes to yell a lot. And his delivery isn't really my flavor, but I do agree. I do line up with him on a lot of things that he says. He takes fasting mostly to do with food, but I mean, there's a lot more to fasting than food. There's,
Hmm.
our what our
Abstinence.
abstinence, technical or technology,
Yeah.
uh, just being able to sit in one spot without thinking of anything for as long as you can. All of those things also, and like I said, meditation is really helpful for that. But Cole Robertson, some more what may come to me as I go here. But Saladino is another one. He's and there's another doctor. Yeah, I'll put that down at the bottom too. These people also explore in the concept of carnivore diets. There's people that do carnivore diets, and I've mentioned before a fellow named Vegetable Police. He's more on
Hmm.
he's more on the vegan side of things. He is a vegan now. He's kind of flip back and forth. Also very funny too. I highly recommend it. But I watch all of these things because diet to me is very important. And in these times with this coronavirus, one thing that fasting, all of these people I just said, and any doctor I've heard that supports fasting will tell you it boosts immune systems a lot. We
Hmm.
become when we eat 3-4 meals a day, our bodies are constantly working to digest these foods, and it's a lot of work to do that. Um, and what happens is it actually tires the system. This is what the theory is, and you could probably find doctors that will say otherwise, but that's what have you. We're just going with what our experience is. So it increases the immune system. I personally, right now, do something called OMAD, which is 1 meal a day. I eat in the evening, and that is the only time I eat. I don't eat all day, and I'm been inkling towards maybe doing another 24-hour. I've done as high as 48 hours. I know people that have done 21 days. I'm not sure I advise that, but I know people that have done 21 or 30 days. So they say, with water and stuff like that. One thing I have learned is it's certainly not harmful for the body. So, what did you find for these benefits? Out, what were the benefits you found of fasting directed towards your just whole life in general? I guess.
So it heightened my awareness in terms of intuition and instinct and all relationships. So I was able to listen more deeply, shall we say, instead of
Wow,
just having my mind kind of run little programs. So I learned a lot with that.
wow. Geez, that may have been the case with me, but I might have attributed it to something else other than fasting. That's interesting. Um, I found for me, like some of the things that fasting helps me with is, I think we mentioned this, is realizing the difference between need and want.
Yeah.
A
Yes.
lot about
Yeah.
that. It's just the
Hmm.
basic financially speaking. It doesn't cost as much to live anymore. Uh, it helps me with meditation. It helps me with time in my life. I never realized how much time, like when we figure you got to cook breakfast, but make your lunch, then eat the lunch, then come home and think about what to have for supper, make the supper, all of those things like that. And how many times people say, I don't have enough time in my day. And I found when I started doing fasting, that's one thing I had more time to do more things, such as meditation. And I did remember having more mental clarity. How about, is that kind of what you were thinking, saying as well? Meant more mental clarity.
There was more clarity, um, and there was more time to think and reflect. Um, so yeah, it was incredible. And everything you just said, um, I'd like to unpack in a segment, like another video call, because I mean, there's so much there. Very briefly, I went on a ski trip. I'm a ski instructor, so I went for some training, and it was 5 days. Wake up in the morning, go ski a whole day, take in information, do new things, physically demanding, cold weather, all that sort of stuff. And I continued my fast. I ate once a day. And while the other skiers around me ate, I journaled. While they prepared breakfast, I meditated. And I had so much time to have a richer or different experience. And it was incredible. And everybody around me was scratching their head going, how are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And I would say, well, are you really interested in the answer? They're like, no. I said, oh, okay, because that's why.
Yeah. What they were really asking, what I find people were really asking is, why are you weird?
That's it. Yeah. Why are you
Why
doing
are you
this?
weird? Yeah. I started coming to this. So I've started to having answers because I appreciate where people are in that area. I don't want to make people feel like, that's great. This is I would say this is just my weirdness
Mm-hmm.
for right
Yep.
now. This is my weirdness right now. Have you ever explored your weirdness? And that's another video I'd like to get into, is exploring our weirdness.
No, I don't want that on video. I will certainly listen to you talk about yours.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
I'm not ready for that.
this is kind of weirdness. A lot of people would think this is weirdness. Us sitting here talking about fasting is very weird to people. So we are celebrating our weirdness right now, and there might be
Okay.
weirdness that we're not willing to put out into the universe right now. That's personal weirdness, and that's boundaries for ourselves, and that's cool. But
Yes.
I have my personal public weirdness that I've become comfortable with, and this is part of it right here. What we're talking about, being able to be on this camera and do this, it takes some weirdness. So that's good. Weirdness is good. It's
Okay.
uh,
Thank you for that.
yeah, weirdness is very good. We'd love to talk about that sometime. How exploring our weirdness without, exposing things that we've set boundaries for ourselves for, of course. But um, so more on the side of fasting. Another thing that I came with fasting was, I found that I was able to found that I was able to express myself more because of what we're talking about right now, because it put me into a position where I would say things like, no, I'm not eating right now. And all of those things like you're talking about. And I was able to be kind of weird. Like fasting is
Mhm.
a weirdness to people, right? So I was able to say, to realize that I'm okay being what I am, because I believe in what this is doing for me, and what's creating the healthiness it's creating in me. But there was a battle with that. There was a little battle with that for sure. Um, it was sometimes difficult because some people would really be sarcastic towards me saying, like, in the keto diet itself, no sugar. You go to somebody's house and they're having a birthday party and they offer you cake and you say, no, no, I'm good. A lot of
Mhm.
people won't matter, but some people will ask why.
Yeah, and and um, there's a lot to explore in terms of when people ask you questions. Sometimes they don't know why they're asking the question,
Yeah.
and and if you can very gently, help them understand the question very gently, then they can figure out, ooh, I just asked something that was, I don't know, about my biases or my viewpoints. I just
Yeah.
asked a question, that maybe was inappropriate, or certainly, I think you just crossed a boundary of mine. That's cool. I'm thrilled that you asked the question. and I'm not obligated to answer that. There's
Yeah.
so much in that.
It took me a while, but my answer became after a while, um, I'm sorry, I'm finding sugar not to be healthy for me right now.
Hmm.
In which case, I'm not giving somebody an impression that you must do this or that whatever. It's just not healthy for me right now. And that was it.
Yeah.
Uh, but it took a while to come to that because I started out with, oh, I'm doing this thing or whatever the case may be. And I found that I made people very uncomfortable and all of those sort of things. So I really, and that expanded in many things. I started reevaluating in my own life what my own motivations for answers and how I express things to people and why I'm doing what I'm doing. Am I really doing things for my own personal well-being, or am I doing things maybe to be better than other people? I had to
Ooh.
really try to start
That's.
being honest with myself.
Mhm.
Am I just trying to be right in this situation or better than someone in this situation or whatever? And I found that it helped me immensely to start looking at that and and realizing why internally I felt this need to do things to be better than other people.
That's that's an incredible revelation, um, and I agree. Uh, I've had similar revelations on that path, and it's incredible. This is not an endorsement of fasting, um,
Yeah.
because everybody's experience will vary. I can certainly agree that these gifts came to me through a similar experience, and I'm very grateful for them.
Yeah, and the keto diet, for instance, I'm not recommending necessarily. I mean, go check it out, find out what your thing is. As
Hmm.
what you said about spirit will talk to us individually about what have you. You didn't even hear anything about fasting. You listened to your body, and through meditation or your dream time or what have you, you came to fasting. And I hope
Hmm.
for people out there, they do the same. There's another guy I wanted to bring up. He's called the medical medium, and you can check him out on YouTube. When he was 4 years old, he predicted that his grandmother had cancer, and she went to the doctor and found out that she did. And from there, he started listening or meditating on, and he believes is being sent information from the spirit, from angels, or however you view it, on dietary things that can help humanity. He calls it the spirit of compassion. He's to me, he's actually starting. He's very popular now. Actually, Kim Kardashian just did a video with him and stuff like that. But to me, he's very down to earth. He's a beautiful person, and he talks about celery juice and all kinds of wonderful things that can be helpful for individuals. And in this, like I was, what I'm really trying to get across here is I've from all of this uh, journey, I think I've come to the real understanding that dietary stuff, even and spiritual stuff, is an individual thing, and we're just learning what our individuality, how these things can be applied to us individually. That's what I'm going to say. Maybe that will be vegan for you, keto, or what have you, or whatever it may be. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe you just like this doesn't even touch you. It's whatever. It doesn't matter. But
Yes.
I think it's beautiful to more the engagement in the journey and the intention towards loving ourselves and finding what's healthy so we can live our what we were talking about yesterday, our best happiness. You said
Hmm.
that came to me last night. Our best
Oh,
our best happiness. Because you said something about happiness, about being a greater happiness or more happy, or not, wasn't more. What was the word you what how did you put it?
oh, I don't remember, but the sentiment was there. It wasn't meant to be judgment. It was just to have like deeper happiness, richer happiness,
Richer happiness.
in anything, just in picking up a sock. makes you happy, it needs picking up, do that for yourself. It's
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Anyways, it came to me last night. I was thinking I'm looking for my best happiness. And that may not look like your best happiness. And that's okay. That's my weird. And that's your weird. And our
Yeah,
weirds are awesome because it's what makes
they
us
are.
individual.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. And in that individuality, we all have some oneness. Um, and yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. So we said we are going to keep this 30 minutes, and we've done so. We're
Maybe
breaking
31.
records. We're breaking records here, buddy. Did you have more to go on about this? Did you want
No,
more? Did you have more
no.
in your heart to say? No.
Oh, I
Okay.
got lots in my heart to say. And I also know that my son is patiently waiting for me to help him with a project.
Oh,
And that's a priority.
yeah. Let's do that. Anyways, check out what. Hopefully, I would really. It'd be really cool if you went and checked these things out, and if you haven't really, if it hits you in your heart to think about diet, fasting, all of that stuff for you, then I hope we've opened up a portal that is going to bring you to your best happiness, like it is has us.
Mhm.
Uh, this is Fintan. I'm Steve. I want to make a name for us, but maybe it'll come out sometime. Fintan and Steve is fine. Have a great day. We love you. Lots of love
I
to you.
love you too. Thank you. Bye.